Hello. Right. So this video is going to be setting up window callbacks so that we can use the keyboard. I'm gonna separate it out into mouse and keyboard in different videos because that keeps it nice and short, and then you can just jump to whichever one you need to do. I mean, you might only want keyboard or mouse movement, for example. So yeah. Let's have a look. Oh, I forgot to close the door. Right. So what I was doing, I was looking at the camera class on this tutorial and learn Opengl camera just to see how other people have done it, because I followed a course and I wanted to see how different it was. So I went down to the bottom page and it says experiment a little if you're stuck, compare your code with the source code. So I just went down to the source code, had a little look, and down near the bottom we have process input, and it's basically getting the window. We've got GLFW get key, the window, and then the button that gets pressed. And we've got that a few times. Once for the escape to set the window to close, and then for the rest of them, it's passing information into another class to do stuff with that information, basically. So get window key W is forward, so it just passes an enum value of forward. So let's look at the camera class quick. I know I'm going over this a bit funny. So all I did was open up the camera bit there, look for the, oh there it is, right there, process keyboard thing, and it's just, actually it's going to take you to the top first, an enum for camera movement, forward, backward, left, right, and then down on the actual movement part, you can see the way it works. You've got velocity, which is movement speed times delta time. I don't think we've got delta time in there yet, but delta time is pretty good for keeping everything running smoothly. So if your game slows down at all, it doesn't affect the speed of the movement. I won't go into that, a bit silly. But yeah, it's basically just getting a movement speed, and if it's forward, then it times the front position by the velocity. Which is interesting. This is done quite differently to the way we're going to do it. But we won't get this far, I don't think. I'll have something that basically tests to make sure our stuff is working, but we won't get this far. Okay, so let's get started. I opened up these two windows, which all I did was search. I think it's GLFW key callback. Oops. And it just took me to the input guide, and I just searched key callback. The reason I know how to do this, but obviously, is because of a course. I mean, how are you supposed to figure this stuff out without following tutorials and all those other stuff? There's no way of just figuring it out, unless you're some sort of wizard. Anyway, I'll close that one off. We're only going to use these two pages, and basically, this is the GLFW set key callback thing, and it's saying that it takes in a window pointer and then a key function called cbfun, which is interesting. If you look down here, the new callback or null to remove the currently set callback. Callbacks in GLFW are functions in themselves, so basically it's passing in a function that you have to make. So I clicked on that to find out what that is, and if we go over to this part, you can see it's a key function, GLFW, and then it's got 4 ints, and here's what they are. So you've got key, scan code, action, and mods. We're only going to use the key, which is basically the keyboard key, as it says there. Let's open that up, see what it says. And action, which is press, release, or repeat. That's an interesting one. I didn't even think about looking at that. The mods and everything else we're not going to use. Just going to look at the keys. Oh, that's nice. So we can see what ASCII character it is. If I quickly look up ASCII table, so you understand what I mean by the ASCII thing. I'm going into a bit more detail than you really need, but it's good stuff. Wow, can't see that. Okay, so this is what we're on about. So A, the character A, is the decimal or the hexadecimal location. Well, basically 65. If you put in car, 65 is A, and the same. It's just a way of storing all the information. It's really handy. Storing all the. I'm just going to stop there because it's making sense the more to look at it, I'm sure. So yeah, that GFW key A is 65 bits. Yeah. Okay, right. So let's get started. We're going to go into the window. Now, how many key combinations are there? Doesn't really say. It just says there's 300 odd. So I don't think we need as many as what the course I did tells me. Like, it was given 1024 characters. I mean, if we're just using A to Z, for example, we've got 90 there, and A is 65. So that's nowhere near the number that we need. Okay, let's just make a Boolean array of key pressed ID, and we're just going to have this goes up to 90, so let's make it 100 just as like a safety net. So this is just going to be like if a key has been pressed, then it's true, and if it's released, then it's false. Okay. And we're just going to go into the window constructor and quickly do this. So we want for size t I equals 0, I is less than 100, which is the size of the array, I plus plus, and then key pressed ID I equals false. So we're just initializing all the values to false to begin with. We'll do the exact same thing in this constructor as well. Okay, now that we've set that up, we also need to make a function called it's going to be void. Let's have a look. So this is the thing we need to make. It's not got a lot of information, I know it sucks. So it's a void with a window and then 4 ints. So void, what should we call it though? Key callback? I mean, it seems a bit on the nose, doesn't it? Let's just call it that, it's fine. Then we want GLFW window pointer, window in. Oops, didn't type window correctly. And then we want an int for the key, the code, action, and mods. So key, int, code, int, action, int, mods. And then we're just going to create this function. Now if it's going to let me create the function, there we go, create definition. Just going to pop over to the window.cpp. Before we start writing in this, we better make sure we actually set this up. So in the initialization part, after we've got the glf make context and the set window user pointer, we want glfw set key callback, and we're passing in main window, and I think it's called key callback. Doesn't like it. So if we go back to the input reference, now at this stage we're passing in that function, aren't we? So we're at glfw set key callback, window pointer, key function cbfun. cbfun is short for callback function. On this one, what does it say? Subdef void. Okay, let's go to window.h. No idea why, but on my other project this worked to fix it. Static void key callback, and now it's taken in that thing, so that's working. Now if we go down to here to the actual key callback function, we want to pass in some stuff. So if key equals glfw key escape and action equals glfw press, then glfw set window should close to glfw true. No? Oh yeah, we've got to pass in the main window, which will just be window in, I think. Let's see. Right, now to test that this is working, we've passed it into the initiation part, so it's just a case of running it, I suppose, and testing by pressing escape. And if when we press escape, it should just close the window, which it did. Nice. If it didn't close your window, then give me a message, I suppose, and see if I can help fix it. So from here, now we want to make sure that the key that we've got, if key is more than 0 and key is less than 100, so that that array we made, so if it fits in that array, then we want to make sure that the window that we can set that array value to true. Okay, so this one here, when we press A, for example, which is going to be 65 if I remember right, let's have a look at it. 65, then we want 65 to be true in this array. Okay, this will make sense eventually, I promise. So if the key is more than that and less than 100, then we want to have another one, which is if action equals glfw press, then we want the window in dot. Okay, we haven't got anything. Must have a class type. So this isn't a class. Probably because we made this static void, which kind of means it's not in the class. I don't really understand what static void means entirely, but this little thing will fix it. Let's call this, so we want a window pointer. So this is just of this class. So remember this function, for some reason, well, because it's static void, for some reason this window isn't working. So window pointer to, what should we call it? Let's call it window in as in like an alternative, equals, and then we want static cast of type window pointer, and then window in. Nope. Invalid type conversion. What about right, let's have a look. We got set window user pointer this there and make context. So let's see. Oh, I don't know. I remember this working on my other project, so we're just going to give this a go. glfw set get window user pointer, and we want the window in value. Okay. Well, oh, now it's no squigglies, so fingers crossed. And then we want window in alt dot key pressed ID of the key value to equal true. Else if action equals glfw release. And then we want the same thing again, only it's false. So we need to check that this is working. Let's so we'll take out the translate, the rotate, sorry, and we'll create a function in a minute. Maybe we should do the function now actually. So we'll just create a new function at the top of our main. It's going to be void. Oh, actually no, it could be gl float. How do we want to do this? Gl float will be fine. what's the best way of doing this? Let's make a void one, and we'll just update it by reference. So void up position check, I suppose. Let's call it keys check just for a giggle. We're going to take in two variables, gl float and pos. No, it's just taking one. We also need to take in the Boolean array to check with that array if anything's changed in it. So we want a thing of type Boolean array, and we're going to call it keys. Why isn't it liking this? Oh, idiot. There we go. So that's just a pointer to an array. So if keys glfw key w, then we want to, actually we'll do a because we know a works because it's inside that array. I'm pretty sure w is going to be inside that array, but so like w's 87. What's interesting is this is all, there's no lowercase. Yeah, it's all uppercase. Anyway, so we want pos x. Oh, we need this to be a reference, so we're updating pos x by reference. Pos x equals pos x plus equals plus, let's just put 0.0, 0.1. So literally this function is just going to check one thing. We're just making sure that we can actually use the keys. So we've got poll events down there. Keys check. We haven't made the float, have we? GL float pos x 0.0, and then we want main window dot get. Oh, we haven't got the get either. Let's call it get key pressed array, and then we want pos x in there. So we're just going to quickly go over to the window and fix that bit. So just underneath here we're going to have the same kind of setup: ball array get key pressed array return key pressed ID. I'll actually clean up this bit. Yep. And then pos x, where are you being used? You're not yet. So we're just going to change. So we've got a translate part here. We're just going to add it to that. So it's translating by x if A is pressed. So let's see if that works. Well, it seems to be working. We've got some sort of movement going on. So that we know that's working. Now, where this pos x is defined in the loop, that's the reason it kept on resetting to 0 when I moved. And also, we're just going to change this to 0.01 because it was so fast. I reckon it would just disappear the second you press it. So, still doesn't want to play ball. Plus, we're updating it by reference, so it should just add to it. Well, we've got some sort of movement, albeit a tiny amount. And it doesn't seem to be resetting once the button's released as well. Why not? Tell you what, let's look at my other project. I think it looks identical to this one. We want handle keys. So, see what I mean? 1024, we don't need that many. The window key pressed key is false. this is identical. So what is different? Is it in the camera maybe? I know we've got some keys, GLFW, that's taken in a boolean as well. So that is identical as well. Oh. that should fix it. Yeah, now it's moving like it should be. And then simply to add to this, you just go if keys GLFW key D. Then we want the same thing again, only this time it's going to be minus equals. And this means we can just move left and right. So you can see how simple that is to make. The difference in future is when we get the camera set up, this would affect the actual position of the camera. At the moment, it doesn't. I'll tell you what, we might be able to do that though. If we were to quickly just put in, so the view matrix is being updated here instead, which is bad because we're initializing the matrix every single time we loop through, and that's quite a lot of variables. But anyway, this is just a demonstration, so it's fine. And we'll put in pos x on the x-axis there. We can just put 0.0 there. This should move the camera left and right instead this time. It would probably look identical though. Oh, it doesn't look identical. Look at that. We've got some warping going on because of the view. That is interesting. See what happens when we just go really far. So always looking at 0, 0. It's always looking at the same point. That's why. Interesting. Anyway, yeah. That'll do for this video. 22 minutes. That's not too bad. In the next one, we'll set up the mouse so it's similar. I'm trying to think how we're going to test it, but I suppose I'll figure that out when I start making it. And I'll reset this a little bit. It does look a bit messy though. Maybe we'll do a bit more tidying up in the next video as well, because I don't like having this much mess. By mess I just mean like lots of lists of things that are grouped together. So got a bunch of stuff grouped together there when we could just put that into a function on itself. In fact, it's not a bad idea to have something like this, because we could have I'll tell you what, yeah, I'll sort that out in the future. What else should I go through? I think this is okay for now. Hopefully you guys followed along quite alright. This is a bit of a weird one because we're using GLFW and it's about handling key input and stuff. And if you see the Windows API for setting up a window, it does make it very intimidating, I must admit. So even though GLFW does look very strange with the whole way that it's passing in a function like this, so this whole function that we've set up is passed into GLFW here, which is set in the key callback functions inside GLFW, I suppose. It's hard to kind of wrap your head around, and basically. So what our function does is basically whenever anything is pressed in the window, GLFW goes through this and then sets the Boolean array that we've got to true for the character that we've pressed. So escape and whatnot. Actually, oh no, that's fine because when escape is called by itself. It's not inside the array like we got here. Maybe you're wondering why we're doing it this way as well. Everybody's keyboard is slightly different, specifically when you go through different, well, not everybody's keyboard, but different languages and stuff. For example, the American English and the English keyboard are slightly different. The @ sign, for example, is at Shift 2 for the American keyboard, whereas it's at Shift apostrophe for the English keyboard. So there's slight differences like that, and by using a function like this, you're ensuring that the right character is called, basically. Anyway, I hope this is a helpful video. Go through the next one. It shouldn't be as long because the mouse isn't too bad.